In this example, we'll look at how to use Webhook Actions to send information out of Macanta to other platforms, software, systems, wherever you need to send it. So as our example, what we're going to do is whenever an opportunity moves to, let's say, initial call booked, in this instance, we are going to send a webhook out to another system. Okay. So first, what we need to do is set up our webhook action. So we will just say initial call booked notification. Now I need a URL to send this notification to. I'm just using a thing called webhook.site, so you can see it. It's just a webhook tester. So it shows you when something comes in. So we need our URL that we are going to send our information to. Then again, what we need to do is what data object type are we going to have and what relationship. And again, we're going to have it for the client. And then I can say, well, what information do I want to send over? So I'm going to send the date created for it. And I can also send, let's just see, I want to send the opportunity description. I'll also send the opportunity ID, and then we want to send the information of, well, which contact, who is it that we've booked this call with. So we'll send first name, last name, and we can also send the email address across. So that's what we're going to send over to the other system. If I have other custom value pairs that I want to send over, like security key, API keys, whatever needs to go in that's not part of our data set in Macanta, then we can do that as well by simply adding a pair and putting the codes in there. But we won't be doing any of that. These fields here, I can give it hard values, or I can leave them blank to use the current value. So that's for the data object fields. But for these ones here, we're going to merge in the contact's first name, the last name, and the email address, because those fields are not part of our data object opportunity. It's the contact's information. So we want to send that across. So now we've got our webhook action set up. A webhook action, same as email, SMS, field, and contact actions, are only ever payloads of a specific trigger action. They can't be fired independently. So what we need to do is I'm going to copy this title and I'm going to set up a new trigger action called initial call. So I can say send initial call booked notification. It's going to be for an opportunity. I'm going to choose my relationship again as client. We don't need to send any values here. And you'll see here my HTTP post, the webhook we've set up is not available. And that's because we haven't refreshed. So we'll wait until we do that. We'll set our condition and then we'll do a refresh. So now that I've set up my trigger action, so that opportunity for a client will trigger it, I have to decide, well, when is it going to trigger? And that comes under our trigger condition. And we are going to say our trigger condition is when the initial call booked. And we can say opportunity stage is initial call booked, I think is what it's called. It's going to be an opportunity again. I want to restart after. I'll do never. And our automation overview video goes into the detail of what restart after is and the different options. And I'm going to run it for the client. And then I'm going to say, okay, when the opportunity stage is initial call booked, that's the condition that will then fire our automation. So now that I've set up my webhook, my trigger, and my condition, let's refresh. Go back to our automation. And if I now go to my trigger action, I will be able to payload in the HTTP post. And you can see this allows you that you can actually take all 5 of these actions if you need to at the same time when one thing is triggered, which is why we use the payload system like that. And now I can go to my automation group, and I'm going to create a new group because we're not dealing with dates. This is going to be, let's say, webhooks. And I'm going to say when the opportunity stage is initial call booked, then send the initial call booked notification. I can go and save that. So that is now active. So I'll just refresh my screen, go to my opportunity. Now at the moment, this stage is new opportunity. We've got our client here. So I can go and say initial call booked, save that. And now it meets the condition. And then in a moment, here we can see it's already run. We've got our data that's come in. We've got our contact ID, the data object, the app name, what's the data type, it's a client, the date created, the opportunity description, opportunity ID, first name, last name, and the email address. So that's run for an item. And in a moment, we should see it run for this item here as well for contact 2. And that'll come in here. But that is where we then can see. Now, normally this would be fired at Zapier or at any other system where you need to send that information out. I'm just using this webhook.site as a means of easily showing you the information that's been pulled across. And there we go. That is how you then set up using a webhook action with Macanta's automation.